I've been broken a few times, not beyond repair, but definitely down and out. I am finding that the more I do this work, the more I empower others, the more I actually end up empowering myself. And
I cannot believe I'm back here again. I have to be insane, but I brought friends.
And so my definition of broken has changed and continues to change. Before, my definition of broken would be no money, no relationship, no love in my life, no family around, no friends. To me, that I would say would have been my definition of broken. Now my definition of broken would be when I look at the timeline of my life, there's this black mark, and that was probably the hardest time of my life, where I had actually lost a business, and so had gone from growing my software company and being cash rich, and I had sold it, and I turned around, bought another business, and then that business failed because the industry, just the bottom fell out of the real estate market. And so I had this business fail. I'm in this bad marriage. I've just had a baby. This is my third at the time. So I've had a baby. I had to take a corporate job, move all the way across the country, horses, like nursing my youngest child to take this corporate job because I desperately needed the money to kind of like save us. And I did. I moved to South Florida, no friends, no family, 3 kids. And when we got there, took this corporate job, thought it was the answer to all my prayers, and really for the first year it was.
I'm a serial entrepreneur, what I am. And so I've always worked for myself. I've never worked for anybody else. I was actually a professional sports entertainer for 22 years. I did tricks with basketballs for a living, doing halftimes for NBA games and colleges. I was a one-woman globetrotter. And then getting older, I realized physically I couldn't keep doing it forever. So I thought what else I was passionate about, and that was getting kids to have a positive experience being physically active. And so I came up with this concept called Scholastics and built my company. It grew very quickly, but then it started plateauing when money was tight in schools, and it got past my realm of knowledge. So about 5 years ago, I was reading a book, and I just grabbed a book out of all these business books because I needed something. And I grabbed this book and I read the book and it spoke to me. And at the end they said, why don't you sign up for a coach? I'd never even thought about it, so I called them and I talked to a lady for about an hour. And she says, I think I have somebody for you. And that was Jennifer Don. And that was 5 years ago, and I was in a place building my business that was really difficult at that time. And getting on the phone for the first time with Jennifer just made me kind of feel hope. And since being with Jennifer, my company has tripled in revenue.
I'm in South Florida working for this $54 million manufacturing firm. I'm the president of their software division. I'm thinking, oh, okay, it's all gonna work out. This is great. And it wasn't working out. It wasn't great. And they had discovered some problems in the software that had happened long before I ever came in. And I just felt like the whole corporate thing was starting to kind of just like fall apart around my ears. The marriage was falling apart. At that time, my husband was very abusive. I've got 3 children. I'm by myself. There's no family. There's no friends. I'm a horse girl. And so I lost 2 horses within 30 days of each other. It was just like 6 months of just slam, bang, bang, bang. And I remember walking into the office one day, and the secretary sitting at the front desk, her name was Karen, and I walked in and she said, Jennifer, you used to come in here so happy and smiling, and now you come in and you just seem, don't make me cry, a little sad. And she said to me, are you okay? Okay, nobody had taken even 10 seconds at this company to ever ask me if I was okay. And here's this receptionist at the front desk, and we had been friendly, but we weren't friends. And she took a moment to ask me, Are you okay? And so like any top-notch executive, I did what you're supposed to do, broke down crying at the front desk in the reception area. Thank goodness nobody else came in at that time. But she tells me, Jennifer, I run a women's group in the evenings, and would you like to come? And I went that night, and as fate would have it, nobody that night showed up to the group. It was me and her other co-chair person, and I sat there all by myself in the group and just poured my heart out. And we were there for probably 2 or 3 hours, and I was just carrying so much emotion, so much hurt, so much just everything. Poured my heart out, and then I continued going to this group.
When I first started my life coaching business, I felt really confident about coaching, but I didn't have that business acumen. I'd never started a company from the ground up before. I didn't know how to create a business plan or create a marketing strategy. And I wanted a coach or a mentor who could help me with that so that I didn't have to just learn by trial and error, and I could have somebody show me the way and help me out. And so I started looking to business coaches and consultants and doing some research and deciding who could offer me guidance and support on this journey of starting my business. And upon finding Jennifer Dawn Coaching, I really connected with Jennifer and her team and saw their track record of success and how they had helped a lot of other business owners who were in my shoes. And I started working with her basically from day one of launching my business. Jennifer has been with me since the day I started.
A couple of months into it, a woman shows up, and I come to find out this woman is the woman who had actually originally started the group. And I met her, and she was lovely, and I found out that she was a life coach. And so after my time in the group, I started to get my feet under me just a little bit more, a little bit of my confidence back, just a little bit, not a lot, but I was still just really, really struggling. And so this life coach, she offered her services to me, and her services, I remember, were $900 for a 3-month engagement. And I had $900 in my savings account. That $900 was really all I had. And I'm a single mom with 3 children, going through a terrible divorce. It was like, is this really a responsible thing to do, to take this $900 and spend it on a life coach? And I did. I spent the $900, and I was probably her worst client ever because I would just like get on the phone and I would just sob and cry because I was just so filled with so much grief. But that was my first real exposure to a coach. I'd never worked with a coach before, and I didn't even know what coaching really was. And so having somebody just there for you to just provide support and to not shame you or guilt you or help you figure out how to purge through and process all of these emotions that we just have to shove down so we can get through our day and so we can just like literally survive another day.
So I went to a certification course and I went to a retreat in Dallas, and I met one of the other participants here at the retreat who introduced me to Jennifer Dawn Coaching. And I actually went to the last retreat in Montana, and as soon as I found out about this retreat, I booked as well. So referrals are key, and that is kind of how Jennifer Dawn came into my life.
When I completed my life coaching certification and decided to start my business, I knew that as a life coach, I should have a coach. So I, in the process of looking for who I wanted to coach me, I did a lot of research on different people online. And Kate, Shattered Glass Coaching, really stood out for me. And so I went through 2 12-week programs with her, and she helped me start my business. So, website, I did my website, but she guided me. So website, emails, here's all the things, was really my accountability partner. And then Kate told me about this retreat because Jennifer coaches Kate, and so here I am.
But I eventually left corporate. The coaching that I did with her really kind of empowered me to think like, okay, you know what? There is something out there. There is something better for me. Left corporate, moved out of Florida, went and moved in with my amazing sister. And because she was just like, Jennifer, you're beat up, you're bruised, come live with me. Her husband was on deployment. Come spend the summer with her in North Carolina, which is what I did. And really a lot of what I did was just heal from that whole experience, but I had no idea what was I gonna do going forward. And so I ended up taking on a little bit of consulting work in marketing, and this is a funny story. So I took on some consulting work, and one of my clients was an intuitive, so like a psychic person, and she hired me to help her rewrite the copy on her website. And so we're working on her web copy, and in the middle of our work together, she just stops and gives me this impromptu reading, like right on the spot. And she says, "Jennifer, I see you as a business coach. You need to immediately rebrand yourself, be a business coach. I see big money in it for you." And I'm like, a business coach? Like, why would I want to do that? Like, it didn't even make any sense to me at the time. I'm like, who's gonna listen to me? Who really cares what I've been through? And then the intuitive client didn't pay her bill. And so she didn't pay her bill. And I'm like, why would I listen to you? You just stuck me with the bill, and I really need this money right now. And so I really just kind of dismissed it and put it over here.
Sandy, my boss, started to work with her initially, and then I met her actually once in Southern California for like a one-day workshop, and thought she was great, but that was really the only encounter that I had with her. And then Sandy has over the years continued to coach with her, and so I hear about kind of her greatness and all that she does, but I never really worked with her. And so this was really the first experience that I got to have with her and her team. It's been pretty impressive.
I've been through a lot of phases in my life, and I came to Jennifer Dawn. Actually, one day I was tired of my job, and I decided I was going to post on Upwork. And that's how it was the first job I put information in for, and got it in contact within an hour, met with Jennifer, and felt like I knew her forever. And we just kind of clicked and have grown what we've done together.
And then I went on to be introduced to my amazing husband I have today, and then we relocated up to New York. And when we got to New York, I didn't know anybody yet again. It's a whole nother start all over. And this is a girl who has been moving her entire life. And I'm just like, how many more times do I have to move, start over again, start building it all back up again? Is it all gonna fall apart again? So I get to New York, I don't know anybody, and I go to a women's networking group in New York City. So I live about 2 hours north up in the Catskill Mountains, and I took a train into the city. And I actually got to the city. I was terrified. I've never grown up in areas where you have to take trains to do anything. So the idea of taking the train into the city by myself was terrifying to me. I remember I went to a Barnes & Noble bookstore, and I called my husband, and I was in the corner of Barnes & Noble hiding, and I'm just like, I'm really scared to do this, and I don't want to go in there. I don't want to meet these people. And he was like, you can come home. He gave me permission to just bail and come home, which was beautiful. But I didn't, because I'm not a quitter. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go. And I did, and I went to this networking group, and I met these women. I met the founder of the organization. What ended up happening was 3 or 4 weeks later, she called me and she offered me a position in their company. And so I ended up taking over their masterminding, their accountability circles, and I started mentoring about 150 female entrepreneurs all over the country. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And what I realized was that, wait a second, I have experience. I grew a 7-figure business on my own in the software industry and sold it. I had a business that failed, been through that. I then turned around and went into corporate and grew another multiple 7-figure business there in the corporate environment. And I was like, I actually have a lot of experience here to help these women, whether they're doing it on their own, in corporate job, trying to get out of a corporate job, whatever that is. And I loved that process of mentoring them.
My biggest mindset struggle when I first started my business was confidence in myself as a business owner. And I had felt confident as an employee working for other organizations in my past, but starting a new venture and feeling like I wasn't really sure what I was doing, my confidence was shaky. And through working with Jennifer, and this is the second retreat I've attended actually with Jennifer and her team, the confidence that's been instilled in me as a business owner has been instrumental in the way that I approach my business. And when I show up, I feel like I know what I'm doing and I have a method or a technique or a strategy that I can execute because I did the preparation from somebody who's an expert, and I can approach my business with that confidence.
Didn't really know much about Jennifer until our coaching calls, and Sandy suggested that we attend the retreat back in July. So we've known for some time that we were coming up to Vermont for the weekend, and the kind of antithesis or finale would be the Spartan race on Sunday.
I was doing marketing research, and it just so happened Jennifer came up, and I started reading through her whole website, and I absolutely loved the fact that she was genuine and real and sat on a couch with her bare feet. I liked her right from the beginning. She was awesome, and she's like, we have a retreat coming up in Vermont. And I'm like, I live there. So here I am.
And I would love to say, oh, and then it was all happily ever after that, but it wasn't. That same partner, while I was there, I tripled their revenues, brought structure into their masterminding, their accountability circles. They made me the president of the company. And part of our agreement was equity in the business and a very small salary, which I was fine to do because I was willing to put that work in. But when it came time to get the papers, I'm like, okay, we need the papers now. Like, things are going great. I'm doing all this work. I'm getting paid a little, but not a lot. I'd like my equity in the company because we're really getting profitable here. And then the excuses came out. Oh, my accountant has the paperwork. Oh, I forgot it. It's in the car. It's da-da-da. You know, there was always an excuse. And it was actually my husband who said something that I did not want to hear. And he said, she's using you. And I did not want to hear that. I did not want to believe that. But when he said that, and then it was out there, and then I'm like, okay, I can't ignore this. And now I have to really start looking at it. And I realized that's exactly what it was happening, is that she was in fact using me. So I ended up resigning. It was just really my only option of just like, what am I gonna do? But the beautiful part is that when I resigned, several of the women that I had been working with, they followed me. And they said, Jennifer, we still want to coach with you. We still want to work with you. And so that's really how my coaching practice was born, was under this really horrific thing of getting completely screwed by my partner. But I had built a network and I had built relationships, and I had these amazing women that I had been working with, and they were seeing results in their business. And so they followed me. When somebody says, Jennifer, you helped me get from here to here, that's it. Like, that to me is what, like, I've never done drugs, I've never taken them, so I don't really know, but like when I see people being addicted to these things, like if I had an addiction, it would be helping people make that transformation. I love it. And I love being able to make it a safe, positive experience that they can literally will change their life forever, instead of it being like, you know, well, I gave up on coaching, I gave up on therapy, I gave up on getting help because somebody in that space couldn't be trusted in that space to make it a good, positive experience. So we did our first Unbreakable Retreat in Montana, and it was amazing. We did a Spartan race on the last day. We did our next Unbreakable Retreat in Vermont, which is at the Killington, Vermont Spartan course, which is where Spartan was born. It is the hardest Spartan course. And so that's what we've been doing, is bringing in just amazing, so far it's been women together, doing 3 days of coaching, and the coaching is business coaching, there's some personal coaching.
Coming to this, my expectations, I try not to have too much because I want to be open to whatever is there to be received, but I definitely had some. I thought, okay, well, we'll learn about sales all day, maybe do some hiking in the evening, and I was kind of like, wow, it's a decent length. You know, I'm usually gone for like 2 or 3 days, and right within the first day, I was like, oh, this is powerful.
Unbreakable Retreat, you think about all of the things that people do, the passion that they have, and they need somebody to help them focus the passion and help them focus on which steps they need to make and the growth that they need to make. And Jennifer or anyone within the coaching team just helps them and picks them up at each step of the way and just helps them grow.
A lot of the women I work with say that they're standing in their own way and they want to get out of their own way. And it's so true, because many of us have a mindset of, I chose this career when I came out of college, and there's a certain path that I should be following, or there's a certain journey that I should be on or that I am on, and I got to stick to that journey. And if things don't go how you expect them to go, you might get frustrated or feel stuck or like you're in a rut or burnt out or lose that sense of motivation.
I pride myself on having a really great mindset. And even though I do, it was so eye-opening, because I realized that I still have I had a lot of doubts in myself about really being able to get this business to where I want it to be so I can serve the people that I want to serve. And so going through the exercises, having the conversations, doing the reflections that we did on that first day, I would say I went from 90% doubt to probably 25%. And I have more of the tools and skill sets to think through, okay, if you're thinking this, cut it out, put it in the shredder, as Jennifer says, and it's got to go. So I thought that was fantastic.
There was a lot of clarity, I think, that happened within the group overall. It was, why are we here? It's not just about sales. It's not just about the business, so to speak. It's about the person. Like, who are you? You have to grow with your business.
When I first started being a life coach, there's this thing about you need to have everything, or you need to have a website, you need to do Canva, you need to, even now, right? We talk about all these programs that we need. And then when I got here, I didn't know what my niche was. I didn't know exactly where I was going. And it was starting even from day one. As everybody starts to get to know you, they can actually help take all that out for you, which is exactly what was happening.
I think when we arrive in a space that's new, we feel a little bit guarded, and just literally watching people let their guard down and feel safe in the space that is being provided, that there's not a judgment and there's an opportunity to be exactly who you are.
Being in a setting with like-minded women is so inspiring, and it's just such a positive place to develop as a person, as a coach. And I think the transformation you get, obviously comes from the content and what we're gaining, but it also comes from the friendships and the partnerships that we make on these retreats. Like, these are lifelong friendships. These are people who will be in my corner throughout my career. These are people who, if something comes up and they're like, oh, Jen might be a good fit, these are people that I'm going to stay connected to. And for me, that is the most important piece of these retreats.
There's a little bit of everything mixed in, and it's just this beautiful mix of people coming together who want to live big and go after their dreams and have these amazing businesses, and then they've got the guts to get out on a Spartan course and put themselves outside of their comfort zone. And it's just magic. I don't even know how to describe it completely, and I don't have better words than it's just magic.
When you also come here, I think your trauma that you're still working on, or your life experiences that you're still working on, are constantly coming up. And for me, day one, not so much, but I was still stuck in the, I don't know what I want to do, and it's been like that for months.
That was actually one of the biggest things about the retreats, where I noticed there was some of my own healing going on because I didn't have a relationship with my mother. I never knew my biological father, and the father who raised me is actually a pedophile and a sexual abuser, and so there was a lot of sexual abuse going on in the family. My mother, a very toxic narcissist who knew what was happening and chose not to do anything about it. She just wanted that, picture perfect family and, you know, wanted to look good in the church and really wasn't interested in being a mother or protecting her children, none of that kind of stuff. And so
I was molested when I was younger and then went off to an all-girls school, and I ended up going into psychology of all things, but had never been away from home. And I went to a party one night with a couple of my girlfriends. And I went to a Catholic school, ended up at a Catholic school for a party. And I ended up being the last person in a room filled with 5 guys, and one after another. And just having them stand there watching each other have sex with me, and there was no remorse on their face or none of that. It was truly, I thought I had healed all of that previously. And then as I'm laying on the mat in yoga, which I don't do yoga, so I thought I'll try it, a song came on and I just started to bawl. And I was thinking, okay, so I have gone through so much therapy and life coaching and support and some of the stuff that came up yesterday, I have no idea where it came from. But I felt comfortable enough in front of the people that I was with to be able to actually just cry and just let it out. And it could have been the song, could have been me doing yoga, and I've never done it, and I don't know where that came from. But enough for me to be able to say last night that I'm good enough now to be able to help somebody else go through it. And I don't think I was before that. So it's been a genuine experience.
And so even for me to branch out and have these retreats and start to really develop these deep, meaningful relationships with women, for me, that's been an incredibly healing process to know that there are a lot of good people out there.
Spartans, what is your profession? Welcome to the 2022 Spartan Sprint here in Killington. Guys, this is going to be a great course. I'm excited to get you guys out there.
The Spartan race, like any physical challenge, is something that's a little bit daunting if you've never done it before. When you look at these obstacles in the mountains, like they're a little bit treacherous.
I actually had never been in a race before. My sport was basketball. I never ran in a race to get a ribbon or a medal. I never had any interest in it. And when I did a retreat in Montana with Jennifer, and this was a part of it, I thought, oh, this is going to be kind of cool. You know, I'm in great physical condition. You know, it's going to be fun, a little bit of challenge. And it was amazing.
When I spoke with Kate about this retreat, I told her, you know, I have the opportunity to be doing my business full time. She's like, oh my gosh, you need to come on this retreat. It's perfect timing. She was in on Sunday of the retreat, we do a Spartan race. And I almost passed out. I was in my car and I was like, repeat that for me, because I've wanted to do a Spartan race since I was 25 years old. And, you know, it was more physically fit back then, but whatever. But I couldn't find anybody to do it with me. And I wasn't brave enough to do it by myself when I was younger. But it's been on my bucket list for 20-something years. And so when she ever said, we're doing a Spartan race, and I was gonna be able to do it with these women, I was like, okay, that put the absolute definitive for me that I was coming on this retreat. So I'm scared, I'm super excited, and I just can't wait to check something off my bucket list and be able to say that I'm a Spartan.
I hereby do promise to give this my all, no matter the hurt, the burpee or fall. And when I do finish, I know who I am, for I am a Spartan. A Spartan who can. I just want to hear you loud one more time. Spartans, what is your profession?
The retreat idea was actually born from my personal experience. So the year before last, my sister, my amazing sister Alicia, was doing Spartan races. She had been over in Hawaii, her husband was military, they were stationed over there, and so she had started doing Spartan races, but she was so far away from me that we couldn't really do anything together. And so they were transferred back to North Carolina, and she got over here and she's like, hey Jen, you want to do a Spartan race with me? I'm like, what the heck is a Spartan race?
Spartan racing, I started off in my 40s. I turned 40, had a, what I guess you would call a midlife crisis, and I turned to health. And where I was living at the time in Hawaii, the Spartan race came out, and a friend of mine was doing it, and I had no idea what it was. And getting out there and having these obstacles was something that I said, oh my God, this is so much fun. It's like being a kid again. So not only are you running, but you're running through the woods and it's like a trail run, but then you get to pick up a bucket and carry it, or do a sandbag, climb a rope, swing on monkey bars, things that you haven't done since you were a kid. And it just was like so life-changing for me. The challenge really helped me kind of work through a lot of limiting beliefs of I can't do this. And then it's so hard, you see this hill, you think you can't do it, and then you do. And that feeling afterwards is just something that you kind of get addicted to, and you want that over and over.
So I go to Charlotte, I do my first race, and when I got over the shock of that I actually did finish, I cried on the course like 3 times. Not like bawling crying, but you know, tears in my eyes. I'm like, oh my God, this is so hard, and you have to ask for help, and you're so out of your comfort zone. You're just like, what is happening out here? But you finish the race, and then after you finish, you're like, you start feeling really confident, and you're just like, oh, wait a second. I can do things. I can do things I didn't know I could do. And so I had committed to do 3 races that year, and I ended up doing 12. And over the course of a year and 12 Spartan races, I saw my mindset shift drastically.
I know, like, in my life, I've, done some 5K races. The first 5K, it's like, oh my gosh, I did this, like, I can do anything. And it's kind of like that, challenging yourself, because I believe your mind, your body, your spirit, your soul, all of them are connected. So if you can elevate yourself in one area, it's gonna impact the other areas as well. So I can't wait to see what I do after the Spartan race, because I have a tendency to kind of like, get very excited and kind of explode when things like that happen.
The women who come to these retreats, they are nervous. Usually they haven't done a Spartan race. They're very nervous about the whole experience, and that's really good because I want them out of their comfort zone.
Much like anything else, when you're tapping into something brand new, there's that fear and anxiety, and it translates to everything else in your life, right? You either make up a story about why it's not possible, or you do it and you learn from the experience and you take from there whatever needs to be taken, and maybe you apply it to another situation, or maybe there's an opportunity to, who knows, you may walk away from it thinking, wow, that was amazing, or it may confirm everything that you thought, like not something I'm interested in doing. But for me, you have to have the experience to understand it.
Whether it's because they crawled across the finish line, you had to carry them across the finish line. We're all going to get across it, and we're going to get across it together.
You feel great. Awesome to get together. So good. I feel really good. Yeah. I feel strong. I feel badass. I feel proud of myself. Yeah, so proud. Not stopping. The hills, the mud, the water, the obstacles, the distance, the terrain. It's all fucking hard. I was able to accomplish a lot of fears.
I think Unbreakable really means our lives are constantly throwing obstacles at us, constantly. And you either back down from that, or you have to find that inner strength to push through and break that mental limitation that says, I can't do this, this is too hard.
Right, like you have the strength to overcome anything. You cannot be broken. And if you don't have the strength, then you reach out to others to find that strength.
It means that no matter how many times you crack, you're still you, you're still whole, you're still that being.
Being unbreakable to me means having a sense of resilience and knowing that life will throw us challenges in business, in relationships. Whatever you do, there will be hard things, but being unbreakable means that you move through them.
I have a tattoo of a lotus flower on my wrist because, and it's similar to Unbreakable, but lotus flowers can be put in any environment, murky, gross, nasty water, whatever, but their roots go down, pick up the nutrients that they need, and become this beautiful flower. And so that's always been my mentality, and I think it translates beautifully to Unbreakable. Like, put me anywhere and in any situation, and I'm not gonna break. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna, dig deep, and I'm gonna go for it.
I really don't look at things as broken anymore. I really just see it as, well, okay, it might really suck. It might not have gone the way that I wanted it to go, and I might not have any control over it, but I do believe in my heart that anything that has, quote, broken me is actually in my highest and best interests. And it is for my good. And if I can just trust that something better is coming my way and that this is really just shifting my direction, my focus, my perspective, I'm not really broken at all.